Man, at some point soon, I gotta get back to doing a whole new setup. I'm gonna get my green screen plan because there's so many like cool panels that we've been getting lately in this arc. I have a green screen, it's in storage. I want to have it set up. I just got to get all my stuff moved from that, and then I pretty much have my new setup in full, and then get a camera. Well, I have a camera, not very good. I need to get a new one, and then you'll be able to see what I mean. But for now, we'll just keep on stick with the nice kind of quiet one, because this one, we had so much stuff, I think, this chapter just from this new character, Bestia. So I am so intrigued. I'm gonna pull up a picture of her while we go. I'll just use my thumbnail one, and then I'll just use something different for this picture. I'll use my thumbnail from my last video, and then I'll use a picture. I'll use a new thumbnail for this one. But this character is extremely intriguing. So there's a lot just from the information that we got out of this chapter that you can kind of directly connect to her, and it doesn't take a whole lot of guesswork to really kind of look at it. So first off, we know now that Wed is Ignia's son. So this is now directly given to us. This is something in the canon lore. Ignia in his human form seemingly hooked up with a human and had Wed. And this is what we know about it too, because Wed is not like, he's not like the idea of like, if you're one of your parents is a dragon, you're born as like half dragon. It seems more so when you were in the human form, because of that, you are, the full status though is still that of a human. You are giving, birth to that of another human, whether if you are male or female, being the transformed dragon at that state. It's similar to how Urza grew up. She was initially conceived by a human and a dragon altered human with Irene, and then spent centuries inside of a dragon womb before being born. But it's like she technically was not born from a human, because Irene was transformed. Irene's body, when it comes down to transformation magic, it is not it's not her real state. We know that it's also just generally not as well done seemingly as some of the other ones because of the state she was in. But you can look at that and then say, okay, well, this is something that's consistent, where it's at the root of it, they're human more so technically, which makes me wonder if somebody used magic just in the sake of transformation, and you were able to turn then into a dragon. Say you were powerful enough just to turn into the lowest level dragon possible, right? And then you hooked up with, you hooked up with a dragon god level, or even just a dragon king level. Then you turn back into a human. Would your child be born as a dragon then? Because even though you transform back into a human, I would assume, still lay an egg, because the conception point and the parents in both of that situation were a dragon. I would assume. That's a weird thing. I wonder how that would kind of work. But either way, it's just like a weird kind of technicality thing, because it's like, well, it's weird to really have to like go into it in depth, because it's not like these are real creatures. You're like going into like story biology and like mating ideas, and then it's like, okay, well, now we have it directly. But here we now have the fact that Wed's mother is a human, and we know that the members of Fire and Flame were all human before becoming dragons once this whole plan has been going on. And why that's important is, one, we also know from Miss Fortune. Listen, I know that now we're calling her Fortune, Miss Fortune, whatever. I'm gonna stick with Miss Fortune. I just think it's a nice little name for that nice little cat. But she could not become a dragon, so I assume that the process only works on on humans to turn them into dragons. Let me pull up the picture of it. I think it's this one. Yeah, but she just looks cool. I really like. I have the thumbnail. It's mostly the same thing. She just has some cool horns that go up. But other than that, she's got like these creepily long fingers and claws that kind of extend out with her dragon modified body. I'm very interested to see what she's going to be doing. But she reveals again in this chapter, she's the leader of Ignia's squad for Fire and Flame, so she is above Wed, which means that she was already the strongest in person and the top ranked. So Ignia's right hand, the person closest to Ignia. And then on top of that, if she's stronger than Wed, then logically I would assume that if there's a older woman, let's just assume she's older for the sake of it, she seems a little older, woman that was human, now is a dragon that is the one to take on Ferris. I feel like this is clearly and in the same chapter where we get all this about Ignia too, Ignia and Wed and their whole situation, it's very clear to me that this has to have been Wed's mother. If not, I just don't really see what kind of direct role she could have that would be as important. Because the thing with this is I feel like it doesn't have to just be, oh, she hooked up with Ignia and it's Wed's mom. It doesn't have to stop there. Because if this is, say, like just some powerful woman that was like a follower of Ignia, I mean, you could still get a cool story out of it, but you could get a lot more because it would connect directly to Wed and it would connect to Ignia. If, say, that this is Wed's, Wed's wife, or Wed's mom and Ignia's lover / potential wife, whatever it may be. From the fact that then it's like if you get a story from it, you get some backstory, you're gonna obviously see, like, I don't know if we're gonna see any like super intimate, like super humanizing calm moments with Ignia. It would still probably be Ignia, but seen at, a much more affectionate side. And then maybe with Wed, just see what Wed was like growing up and then seeing the situation that they were in. Because I would assume that Ignia was around. I don't know if he was around all the time, but I would assume that if Wed, Bestia, and Ignia all in the situation have been relatively within range of each other with, being within Fire and Flame, that he'd have been around Wed probably a good portion of his life. We don't really know, because it doesn't seem like they have a bad relationship in the chapter. Like, he calls him dad, and I would assume in the Japanese text that it's like he's just a much more casual way of talking to his father. And when it went up to Ignia, Ignia was looking at him and he didn't say anything, but it wasn't like with like Xerath and Larcade where like Xerath was getting annoyed, or it's like he just ignores him. It was very clear that Ignia and Wed have at least some form of strong interactions. And, it's not like he's no ranked in the guild, even though he's extremely powerful. He's second. So at that point, it's like clearly Ignia and Wed have, you can't put them in the same area again as like other situations within the verse, which is really interesting because generally within the series, when you have a parent child situation in a group, it's usually kind of negative. Like, say like Zero Brain, and Midnight, you have like Hades and Ultir is kind of like a almost situation, but it's like he's kind of actually nice to her. You have something like, again, Larcade and August to a degree, but that was more in August with Xerath. There's just situations where things seem a little bit dangerous. Silver, but it was a trick. But with this, it's like if you have it kind of like where Ignia, Bestia, and Wed all have a decent, like, it doesn't have to be like, yeah, we're the best family ever, but they have a solid family set and ties. It would really do a lot for all these characters in synchronization, because again, if they all are like anything in backstory, like I said, it's like if you get a Bestia backstory, some stuff with her, and it shows Ignia and Wed as well. Okay, well, that also applies to Ignia and Wed, and maybe at some point you show any of the other members of Fire and Flames along the way in a flashback or something. Bam, that also adds on for those characters. Same thing with Wed. It's like Wed getting a flashback, you'd easily get stuff with Ignia or for Bestia, which just, again, does great stuff for their characters. And that's one of the things I think is going to be really intriguing going forward, because this is a plot twist I didn't see coming. I thought it was going to be more towards like, Wed's backstory that led him to Ignia, but it's more of like his backstory that is directly tied and from Ignia rather. So tell me your thoughts about this. Do you think it's going to be Wed's mom? Do you think that this is Wed's mom? I just feel like if anybody is going to be Wed's mom at this point, and it's like, I say at this point, it's like, but introduced. She clearly is a human, was a human. She's in the plan. It would make sense. It's like if she was, because with Ignia's personality, he would probably only want to hook up with someone extremely powerful, and it makes sense for Wed to be like, well, I'm gonna climb the ladder then of swordsmanship, because it's like neither of his parents are swords users, so it's like he's going to become a sword master. So it's something that they aren't handled in, so he's going to be doing their own thing, because clearly he'd be looking at them and going on the whole like power like stairway, the journey and climb to get to the top of whatever medium you're in. Maybe there'll be like there'll be another child, and he's a baker and he wants to make the best food. And it's just like, anytime we do it, it's some really aggressive that wants to be number one. Because they send him to Pokemon, he'll have it beaten within one season. But either way, like, it's a really intriguing plot twist. It was something that I just didn't really see happening. I figured we would get more members of Fire and Flame. It's like Fire and Flame, Diablos, and Ferris's squad in general. Not Aracion Sace, it would be different because they'd have to be replaced, or she would have to go up into a bigger squad. But either way, it's like, it's nice to get a group member dropped, and clearly a big one, because she is, again, the strongest person within Fire and Flame, you would assume, besides Ignia, unless they have like a secret member. But I feel like she is the secret member drop-in, because she just literally just appears on panel and just shows up to fight Ferris. So we'll see when we get to it. It's going to be a little troublesome. I feel like we're going to get that plot like reveal and backstory soon, because I don't see Ferris losing to her. And I would really not be surprised if we get one of those, like, she gets this really nice, sad backstory, really good backstory, but it's like she's against just a superior opponent, and she's not able to use any of those emotions to overtake Ferris. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Other than that, comment below, tell me your thoughts are, and what you guys want to see in the next couple chapters. Until then, bye.